Red alert. Confirming UFO.
Interceptors, immediate launch.
Who are they?
Why do you attack us?
Where do they come from?
We're fighting for existence.
Why do they come?
You must understand.
Although the first confirmed UFO landing on Earth occurred in 1970, it wouldn't be until 1980 that one of its alien occupants would actually be captured and examined.
We waited a long time for this one.
With the founding of SHADO, Supreme Headquarters Alien Defense Organization, the Earth finally had an agency capable of combating these visitors from another world, whose visits usually resulted in mutilated bodies turning up near their landing sites, plus multiple outright disappearances.
A long finger of tragic coincidence, stretching across 1 billion miles of space.
The aliens seen in UFO are never referred to by a proper name, and the exact location of their homeworld is never established in the television series, but their civilization appears to be many centuries in advance of humanity. Humanoid in appearance, these aliens are always seen wearing a red spacesuit with a silver helmet, and are often armed with machine guns. Their helmets are filled with a survival liquid which leaves a greenish-blue tint to their skin when removed.
The interesting thing here is that the hair hasn't picked up this tint, which suggests that the liquid contains a bioacrophilic compound. Also, the fact that the eyes were protected by plastic shells seems to support this theory.
Although the aliens rely on this liquid to keep them alive during extended years in space, their own lungs can take over normal respiration should the helmet be removed or damaged. The aliens have apparently found a way to arrest the natural aging process through the use of drugs, although exposure to Earth's atmosphere usually results in them rapidly deteriorating to their true age. This was the case with the very first alien SHADO were able to examine in the show's opening episode, Identified, and an autopsy revealed he had received organ transplants from several compatible human donors.
Heart, liver, left lung, thyroid.
Providing a grim reason at last for all those mutilated bodies and disappearances. Additionally, evidence suggested that the drugs taken to prevent aging had also induced sterility, leaving the aliens as a race facing extinction and looking towards the population of Earth.
Driven on by the greatest force in the universe. Survival.
Examinations of further alien bodies only reinforced these initial discoveries, but following an attack on Moonbase in the episode The Cat with 10 Lives, SHADO were forced to re-evaluate everything they had learned about the aliens so far.
It could shatter all our past theories.
Upon examining the body of an alien killed in the attack, Dr. Doug Jackson came to the conclusion that this particular individual was entirely human, albeit with his brain altered to remove sections that controlled emotion and creativity.
Only the analytical, the logical remained.
With the mind apparently wiped clean too, replaced with that of an alien, the prospect was raised that perhaps the aliens were not humanoid at all, but instead some kind of disembodied intelligence capable of taking complete possession of humanoid, or in that episode even animal, bodies.
They may have no physical being at all, and therefore need a vehicle, a container, our bodies.
The aliens are also capable of controlling human beings in less drastic ways, although the degree of this control can vary.
It's some sort of electronic probe. It had been inserted into his temple.
In Kill Straker, both Colonel Paul Foster and Captain Frank Craig were conditioned to destroy their commanding officer, which initially manifested itself as barely disguised contempt before developing into active attempts to murder him.
Brainwashed. By who or whatever was in that UFO.
Captain Craig Collins later received similar conditioning in The Man Who Came Back, although this appeared to involve burning out the personality centers of Collins' mind and altering his brain so that he could be controlled by radio waves.
I mean, you can't reason with a robot.
Other controlled humans could appear completely normal until activated to carry out their orders, such as Naval Secretary Sarah Bosanquet in Destruction, or the 3 psychobombs in the episode of the same name. Perhaps most interesting was the case of John Croxley, through whose extrasensory perception the aliens appeared to speak directly to Straker and Freeman in the episode ESP.
planet is dying. Our national resources are exhausted. We must come to Earth. We must come to Earth to survive!
Despite this apparent plea for understanding, if not direct assistance, the UFOs continue to head towards Earth on a regular basis. And they usually tend to land in the south of England, coincidentally not too far away from SHADO headquarters.
Ask the aliens round for drinks.
These incursions range from a single craft to groups of 2 or 3, and even occasionally several dozen.
Here we go again. Red alert! Red alert! Interceptors immediate launch!
But thankfully, SHADO has been able to destroy the majority of them, although sometimes one slips through.
Well, the UFO's been in the Earth's atmosphere nearly 48 hours. It must move soon before it starts to disintegrate.
Very little is known also of the spacecraft the aliens use to travel to and from Earth, since those too are prone to deteriorating on exposure to Earth's atmosphere. However, by staying underwater, these spacecraft are able to avoid this deterioration indefinitely, and are sometimes only discovered after attacking shipping that has strayed too close for comfort. Most notably, a UFO was once converted into an underwater dome near an uninhabited volcanic island in the Atlantic and used as a training centre for replicas of SHADO HQ personnel.
Plan to take over SHADO control and use it to let those UFOs through.
Whether these replicas were aliens or conditioned humans who had undergone plastic surgery was unclear, as they were all destroyed when the dome was blown up. Most alien spacecraft encountered by SHADO appear to be of the same model, with each having its own escape pod and a very powerful beam weapon. They can travel many times the speed of light.
Speed 1.5 million miles per second.
With the highest recorded speed being Sol 12 times the speed of light. But they generally stick to sublight speeds within Earth's solar system. Several variations have been noticed over the years, including a UFO with a transmitter on top and more than one kind of underwater craft. Other alien equipment included a powerful jamming device seen in the episode The Dalatek Affair, a cryogenic capsule designed to hold a captured human body in The Sound of Silence, and even a mysterious rock capable of inducing hallucinations in Mindbender.
Cut! And print that.
In Timelash, we see that the aliens have even developed some kind of ability to isolate a moment of time and can impart the ability to control that moment to a human collaborator.
The nearer they come, the more power they transmit to me. I can play time like a trumpet now.
Surprisingly, for a race that appears so dependent on humanity for their own survival, the aliens have on more than one occasion hatched plans that would have devastated, if not utterly exterminated, the human population of Earth had they succeeded.
There's enough gas on that ship to destroy every form of life known on this Earth.
Upon discovering that a British naval vessel had been assigned the task of dumping a nerve agent into an ocean trench, where it could be left to dissolve harmlessly, the aliens sent a UFO to destroy the ship.
Devil's that?
They also planted 2 explosive devices on Earth in 1970, one of which caused an earthquake which killed 80,000 people when it was detonated in Turkey, with the other thankfully being discovered and removed to space before it could do similar damage in England. Were these plans of global catastrophe intended to deal the human race a blow great enough to finally allow a mass invasion fleet to occupy the planet and harvest survivors?
You tell me.
It certainly points to dissension among the ranks of the aliens, but occasionally this manifests itself in positive ways too. In the episode A Question of Priorities, one UFO is seen firing on another, which then crashes into the sea off the coast of Ireland. Escaping before the crash and seeking shelter in a nearby cottage, this alien then attempts to directly contact SHADO, but is killed by the occupants of the second UFO before he can pass on any information that might aid them in their fight.
He might have told us everything.
Efforts are always continuing to learn more about the nature and origins of the aliens, as seen in the episode Close Up when a modified B-142 space probe followed a UFO back to its home planet.
We've got the answers, Alec. We've got the answers.
Although the data gathered by the probe was later declared useless following a fault with the onboard camera, we the viewers got an all too brief glimpse of a world every bit as barren and dead as the previous close encounters with the aliens had led us to expect.
A mass attack is on the cards. It's going to come. I want to be ready.
Clearly, SHADO have a long road ahead of them, as each discovery they make seems to raise more questions than answers, and there can be no doubt that the aliens will make even more dangerous and unpredictable moves against the human race before they ever accept defeat.
Surrender. Surrender, SHADO.
You know that we can never do that.
We may never know how this conflict is ultimately resolved, but SHADO are resolute and determined in their ongoing efforts to protect the Earth.
They may be years ahead of the human race, but we've got one thing they haven't. Bloody-mindedness. It built this planet.